All right, here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. Well, it is summertime and we are outdoors, and so about our furry friends. And should we be worried about fleas and ticks? We're here with advice, of course, is Scott Robbins of Action Pest. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Ange.
So it's summertime. Should we be worried about not just our kids, but our furry friends as they're outside playing?
Absolutely. We are right in the heat, no pun intended, of flea and tick season. So prime time right now. And
is it just a summertime issue, or is it an issue all year long?
It really depends on the species and the source of where the fleas or ticks are coming from. Fleas can be more of an indoor or structural infesting pest, and they might come inside. Maybe you've got some other little furry friends other than your pets in the house. Maybe you've got a squirrel in the attic, or birds in the wall, or mice running around, and maybe the fleas came in with those little critters. Ticks, most tick species are outside, and they're only intermittently being carried inside by us. There is one species of tick which can set up and complete its life cycle indoors, but all the other ones generally don't.
Well, what's the best way? Help us protect ourselves and our pets.
Well, generally a good awareness. Of course, getting for fleas and ticks both, you should get your pets treated with a good quality veterinarian grade product, not just relying on some of the age-old over-the-counter like a flea and tick collar or something like that, unless it's been upgraded with some new active ingredients or some new technology. The problem is, if we use these products over and over and over again, basically we build up resistance inside the target pest population, so it stops working.
Well, that makes sense, because that just happens, it builds up. So what do you do with Action Pest to help us get these pests out of our homes?
Well, if they get out of control, we can show up and help guide you through a preparation and a treatment process. So we're targeting very specific areas where the fleas and ticks are hanging out. Generally, that's going to be around where your pet is resting or loitering during the day, or the bedding areas. And we'll guide you through some steps, and we'll give you a long-term treatment. It's pretty important. A lot of the over-the-counter flea and tick remedies, they don't deal, especially with fleas. Fleas can be inside their pupal stage for a very long time. And most over-the-counter insecticides don't have that long of a residual to outlast that. But we can come in with some products called growth regulators, and they'll help deal with that stage as well.
Yeah, in the home and in the yard as well.
Yes. Outside, we're really, you don't really have to target the entire yard unless you've got an entirely shaded yard. You're really targeting those shaded areas. If you're keeping your lawn well groomed, the hot summer sun will help keep down fleas and ticks in those unshaded areas.
Scott Robbins from Action Pest, always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Ange.
More Lifestyles for you after this. Stay with us.
This portion of Lifestyles has been sponsored by Action Pest Control.
Bob should not be recording that.
Yes, of course. I agree.
He won't let us post, and he shouldn't be recording.
Right. Spiders next. You ready?
Yep, ready.
All righty. You all ready in there? All right, in 3, 2, 1. We all sing that song about the itsy bitsy spider hanging on the water spout, but there seems to be a lot of spiders this summer season. Scott Robbins of Action Pest is here with some guidance. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're seeing a lot of spiders. Is that a seasonal thing?
Really, spiders can be a seasonal thing, especially on the outside, because, with the warmer weather, starting in the spring, there's a lot of other insects around, and that's food for the spiders. So as the numbers of their prey increase, the numbers of the spiders will increase along with it, because there's just that much more food available for them.
Is it a myth or a fact, if we knock down the cobwebs and the webs, that we'll get rid of the spiders?
It will help, but Generally, what they'll do is they'll just go and rebuild. A lot of spider species are dependent on their web for prey capture, so you're deterring their ability to feed by knocking down their web, and then they're expending some of their nutrition whenever they're rebuilding a new web. So it is a deterrent, but many of the spider species are not dependent on their webs for prey capture.
Well, we also know that some spiders are beneficial. So how do we know the difference?
Well, that's really kind of a real trick. If you've got one in the house, and if you're, not completely and utterly terrified of them, then, you could put a clear, plastic bowl over the top and slide a thick piece of paper underneath, and then carry it and release it outdoors, and let it go back out. So, because most spiders, if you're only seeing them intermittently in your home, they're probably just an occasional invader and getting lost. But there are some species that are structural infesting, and some of those, unfortunately, can be pretty harmful.
Well, let's talk about, of course, we hear about the brown recluse in this area so often. What are the dangerous, harmful spiders?
Yeah, the brown recluse would be one. There are about 50,000 spider species worldwide.
Wow.
And out of all of those, really only about 25 of them are, can be significantly harmful to humans. And in any given area, there's probably 2 or 3 of those species. And here in the tri-state, we've got a couple of the big ones. We have the brown recluse, and we also have the black widow.
All right, how do you treat those, Scott?
Well, when we're treating for brown recluse, there's a few different methods. We can do like a total structural fumigation where we tint the house and release a lethal gas, and we can crash the population to zero virtually overnight. There's no residual left over, so still a preventive program around the exterior perimeter to keep your structure from being reinfested is important. Or there is residual treatment programs we can use for the recluse, and they can be very effective over time. You're still living with them, but there's a lot of people that are actually living with brown recluse spiders, and their reputation's a little overblown, unfortunately, by the internet.
And so on your if people sign up for a regular treatment program in their home, are you also addressing the spider issue?
For our top tier program, yeah, we are covering black widows and brown recluse in with those programs as well. We alter the treatment schedule and what we're going to be doing with you a little bit through communication, but it is a very effective program over time.
Scott Robbins, Action Pest. Always good to talk to you, Scott.
Thank you.
And we'll have more lifestyles after this. Stick around.
This portion of Lifestyles has been sponsored by Action Pest Control.
No planking?
What, honey?
We got plank live then?
I think we're going to be planking live, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to keep you. Go on, do your thing. We may do it at 10:30. We'll have to see. You ready in there? All righty, Scott, here we go in 3, 2, and 1. What exactly are insects known as overwintering? Thankfully, Scott Robbins of Action Pest has the answer to that question. Good morning.
Good morning, Ange.
So what are overwintering insects?
Well, sort of how the name implies. Of course, they're going to come inside and want to hang out with us over the winter. They're not structural infesting pests. They can, however, like the Asian lady beetles and brown marmorated stink bugs, come inside in some very large and annoying numbers. But they're not going to complete their life cycle inside of the structure. So they're really just considered an occasional invader, and they're going to try and leave again in the spring. But they can be quite a nuisance in the meantime.
Are there any insecticides, for example, that might repel or certainly reduce the population of stink bugs?
Yes, it's not really a repellency, but a well-timed exterior application can be very beneficial for these overwintering insects. And for the brown marmorated stink bug, it's a little earlier than you would think. Probably a late September to early October is the ideal timing for those applications, because they start coming in a little earlier than our other longer native overwintering. And by native, I don't really, because brown marmorated stink bugs aren't native to North America, and neither actually is the Asian lady beetle.
But they're here nonetheless, right? So what's the
Absolutely.
Virginia Tech?
They're not going anywhere. They feed on over 140 different species of plants, and from crops to different trees and everything. So they're not going anywhere. They're pretty happy.
Well, tell us about the Virginia Tech stink bug trap.
Well, that's something you can Google. If you're having, if you've got an older home and you have a lot of gaps, cracks, and crevices for the stink bugs to enter, you can Google this YouTube instruction, and you're really just taking like a lamp and an aluminum turkey basting pan, and you're putting some soapy water in it and pointing the lamp towards that at night whenever you close the lights. And it's kind of a poor man's light trap. And it will give you some relief by crashing those numbers by attracting them to this light, and then they're drowning inside that water at night.
Well, for more professional treatment, call Scott Robbins and his team from Action Pest. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Angie.
More Lifestyles after this. Stay with us.
This portion of Lifestyles has been sponsored by Action Pest Control.
Thank you, Scott. Great to see you.
Thanks. Take care.